Lewis Herbert Hardwood, born October 8, 1891 in Covington, Newton County, Georgia, part of the U.S. Navy Cyclones, World War I. His home address was 148 Bedford Place in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, he'd be lost at sea, body reported missing, and never found. His official death was 1918. He was only 26 years of age at the time of his death. Now, he would leave behind a son by the name of Lewis Herbert Hardwood Arroyo. He was born May 2nd, 1914, in Mayo West Municipality, Puerto Rico. He grew up and became a professional boxer as well as a World War II Navy Reserve veteran. Now, as a boxer, he began training at the age of 14 from his uncle by marriage, Edwin Allen Robinson, with no amateur background, no experience, and no knowledge of the game. Lewis began his professional career at the age of 15 on a Monday night. May 27, 1929, he'd be in the ring with Kid Moon in Atlanta, Georgia. But it was West Palm Beach, Florida, where Senator Harris Durant of Connecticut would observe this young man. Now, he noticed him fighting in West Palm Beach, February 9, 1932, and he was very impressed with him, so impressed that he decided to take him to New Haven, Connecticut, and he would sponsor him. And he would see that he would get the things that he would need. And no one knew at that time that they would be looking at a future colored welterweight and middleweight champion. You see, this young man, I have ranked number 1 is the greatest Puerto Rican fighter. And number 3, greatest black murderers fighter that has ever laced up a pair of gloves. Because after being discovered by Bud Schubert, he would then be given the name Coco Kid. Bud Schubert would write the famous script On the Waterfront, featuring Marlon Brando. And Bud Schubert would notice, along with Coco Kid, some unfortunate situations that were happening in the game of boxing at that time. Some of the greatest black boxers were being treated unfairly and not given an opportunity. And he would then give them the name, the Black Murderers Row. Fighters such as Holman Williams from Pensacola, Florida, Charlie Burley from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Jimmy Bivens, Cincinnati, Ohio, Burt Littell, Victoria, Texas, and he would fight out of Oakland, California, Lloyd Marshall of Cleveland, Ohio, Little Tiger Aaron Wade and Eddie Booker. Booker was from San Francisco. You see, Bud Schubert would speak to Nat Flasher, and Nat Flasher would donate some ring belts. And for the first time since Jack Johnson, black fighters were given an opportunity to win a championship belt, but it would be in a colored division. The Coco Kid decided to name himself of something that he took pride on, something that he can call his own. He would weigh between 122 and 142 pounds. Now, in the late 1930s and the 1940s, Coco Kid fought the great fighters in his era. And he was most avoided during his reign. Fighters such as Charlie Burley. Now, Charlie Burley's name was Dwayne. I did a profile on Charlie Burley. He was in the ring with Fritzy Zivic, Burt Littell, Jack Chase, Holman Williams, Jimmy Bivens. Fritzy Zivic were great fighters. But he also fought fighters such as Aaron Little Tiger Wade, fought him twice, defeated him twice. Lloyd Marshall lost to him once. Otto Maxwell defeated him in 10 rounds. Leo Zarita did a profile on him, knocked him out in 6 rounds and defeated him in 15 rounds. August 22nd, 1938, Coco Kid, Melville, Florida, would take the colored welterweight championship of the world from Charlie Burley. Now, Coco Kid would win his title from young Peter Jackson. Young Peter Jackson was an outstanding fighter, one of the best of his time. And young Peter Jackson would face fighters such as Bobby Dobbs and Joe Walcott, the Barbados Demon, Tommy West, Larry Temple, Black Bill, George Cole, Joe Butler, Sam Langford, Dixie Kid, Harris Martin, the Black Pearl, just to name a few fighters. So young Peter Jackson extends that title to Coco Kid, who extended to Charlie Burley, who extended to Coco Kid, who would extend it eventually to Holman Williams, who would extend it to Coco Kid. Amazing. Now Holman Williams and Coco Kid would face each other at least 14 times. And never will you find a circumstance like the Black Murderers Row. You had Burt Littell. They called him the Chocolate Kid. He was in the ring with Holman Williams. Defeated him twice, 1 draw, 1 loss. Charlie Burley, 2 fights. August 5th, 1946, Pittsburgh. He would lose to him in 10 rounds. Archie Moore, July 14th, 1947, Baltimore, Maryland. He would lose to him in 10 rounds. January 31st, 1950, Toledo, Ohio. He would lose to him in 10 rounds. But Coco Kid would also face Eddie Booker. Eddie Booker was known as Black Dynamite. He would face Jake LaMotta and Archie Moore, lose to him twice. Lose to Jake LaMotta once. Coolidge Miller defeated him twice in 1 draw. Coco Kid, knockout. Roy Miller, Charlie Burley, 1 win, 1 loss. And Charlie Doc Williams. He would lose to him in 10 rounds. Now Coco Kid would face Holman Williams Friday 13th, 1936, New Orleans. And he would win a 10-round majority decision. Now at that time, the champion was Barney Ross. Number 1 was Jimmy McLarnin. And Coco Kid was ranked number 7. Now he would face Holman Williams Friday 17th, 1936, New Orleans, the Coliseum Arena. He would defeat Holman Williams in 10 rounds. Ranked number 1 was Holman Williams. Ranked number 7 was Coco Kid. Number 9 was Fritzy Zivit. He would face Holman Williams Friday, March 12, 1937, in New Orleans Coliseum Arena. He would lose to Williams and lose a 12-round decision and lose his colored welterweight championship belt. But he would face Holman Williams again on a Friday, June 11, 1937, New Orleans Coliseum. He would defeat Holman Williams in 15 rounds, and he would win back his colored welterweight championship belt. Now he'd be in the ring with Holman Williams again, Thursday 11th of January, 1940. He would fight him in Baltimore and defeat him in 15 rounds, unanimous decision. The champion was Fritzy Zivit. Number 1 rank was Henry Armstrong. Number 2 was Izzy Genazzo. Number 3 was Charlie Burley. And I gotta tell you, that was a ring of great fighters. Coco Kid was ranked number 8, and number 7 was Holman Williams. Now, they'd be in the ring again with Holman Williams Monday, January 19th, 1942. Fought him in Baltimore. Fought him again Monday, December 22nd, 1941. Baltimore. He would face Holman Williams again Monday, January 19th, 1942. He would face him again Monday, March 2nd, 1942. It would be for the colored welterweight championship belt. 15-round decision. Goes to Coco Kid. Friday, March 27th, 1942. New York's Madison Square Garden. He would defeat Holman Williams once again. 6-round decision. January 15th, 1943, at the Victory Arena in New Orleans, he would defeat Holman Williams in 12 rounds. Friday, September 15th, 1944, New Orleans Coliseum would have a 12-round draw with Holman Williams. Coco Kidd would face Holman Williams again March 26, 1945. This would be at the St. Nicholas Arena in New York. He would defeat Holman Williams in 12 rounds. This was March 26, 1945. May 14, 1945, Monday night, he'd be in the ring with Holman Williams at the Baltimore Coliseum, and he would defeat him in a unanimous decision, 12 rounds. He'd be in the ring with greats such as middleweight Tony Zale. Never got a shot at him, but he sparred with him. He sparred with Sugar Ray Robinson. He was in the ring with Archie Moore. Now, Archie Moore was ranked number 1 in 1942. Charlie Burley was ranked number 2. Holman Williams was ranked number 3. Kid Tenora was ranked number 4. Jose Basora ranked number 5. Jake LaMotta ranked number 6. Jack Chase was ranked number 7. Eddie Booker ranked number 8. Harry Kid Matthews was ranked number 9. I gotta tell you, Holman Williams was some fighter. 1944 was an unbelievable year. Tony Zale was the champion. But ranked number 1 was Holman Williams. Number 2, Jack Chase. Number 3, Aaron Wade. Yet Oakland Billy Smith. All these guys were ranked. The title was frozen. Tony Zale never gave these guys a shot. And the design and the idea was to have these guys pick each other off, sit back and wait and see who was left standing at the end of the war, which turned out to be 1946. Because Tony Zale knew you had fighters such as Rocky Graziano and Jake LaMotta and Georgie Abrams waiting in the wings. But these great black fighters were allowed to pick each other off. So hopefully by the end of the war, when the title was unfrozen, you wouldn't have one left to give a threat to Tony Zale. Now I just want to go through 1942 in the middleweight division for a moment. I want you to think this over. Tony Zale was a champion. Archie Moore was ranked number 1. He wound up becoming light heavyweight champion in 1952. Exactly 10 years later when he defeated Joey Maxim. Charlie Burley was ranked number 2. Holman Williams was ranked number 3. Kid Tenora was ranked number 4. Jose Basora was ranked number 5. Jake LaMotta ranked number 6. Jack Chase was ranked number 7. Eddie Booker ranked number 8. Harry Kid Matthews was ranked number 9. Number 10 was Antonio Fernandez. Why do you think that's the case? Because 1943, the champion was Tony Zale. Title was frozen. Jake LaMotta was number 1. Holman Williams was number 2. Coley Welch, number 3. Jose Basora, number 4. Steve Belois was number 5. Marcel Sedan, number 6. Number 7, you had Joey Carter. Reuben Schenck, number 8. Number 9 was George Cochran. And number 10 was Archie Moore. You see, Coco Kidd was the problem in that Black Murderers Row. Along, obviously, with Holman Williams and Charlie Burley and Lloyd Marshall and Burt Littell and Jimmy Bivens. But Coco Kidd was fighting both in the welterweight and the middleweight divisions, as was Charlie Burley. Holman Williams would fight in the middleweight division. But Coco Kidd was the spoiler. He was the major problem out of all of those men in those lower divisions. You see, what's interesting about these ratings was that Coco Kid was ranked number 7. Holman Williams was ranked number 2. Jake LaMotta was ranked number 1. And what's crazy about that, in 1944, Jake LaMotta would pick off Holman Williams. So then Jake LaMotta would now become number 1. Charlie Burley went up to number 3. But Coco Kid would also face Holman Williams and defeat Holman Williams. And his ranking never moved. It stayed at rank number 7. Because he was the major threat. He defeated Holman Williams the majority of the times. They fought each other 9 times. He was in the ring with Charlie Burley. He fought Archie Moore. And he started out as a featherweight. Coco Kid would face Pete Herman. Pete Herman was a phenomenal fighter in those lower divisions. He was from Louisiana, New Orleans. He fought him July 26, 1932. He fought him at Fenway Park in Boston, and he would defeat Pete Herman. Now we're going back to the featherweight divisions. He would face a fighter by the name of Lewis Kid Kaplan, and he would defeat him. February 20th, 1933. He would face a fighter by the name of Jimmy Leto. He would also be in the ring with an outstanding fighter by the name of Johnny Jadek, who was a junior welterweight champion. And he would defeat him. March 17th, 1933. Lou Ambrose and Kid Azteca. This is Scrapbook Boxing Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series, saying all great fights and all great fighters will never be forgotten on my channel. Salute to Coco Kid, Charlie Burley, Holman Williams, Archie Moore, Jimmy Bivens, Big Boy Brown, Lloyd Marshall, Kid Tanner, Archie Moore, phenomenal fighter he was. California's Jackie Wilson. The Great Ezzy Charles. Sugar Ray Robinson. The Tuckett Brothers. Stanley the Standard. Stanford was the better of the two. Very good twin brothers. Ray Brown. Clint Conway. The great Al Gaynor. Odell Pally. One of the greatest lightweight champions of all times, Bojack. Great Jimmy Bivens. Bantamweight champion, Georgie Pace. Salute. Thanks for hanging in there with me. All great fighters and all great fights will never be forgotten on my channel. To your left, you have Charlie Burley. And to your right, the magnificent Coco Kid. Shout out to these great fighters.